blessings. You know, the Bible is very, very interesting, and it is very clear, and it talks a lot about unforgiveness. In fact, the Bible says in Matthew 18, it says, "Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Now I know a lot of us, we struggle with this concept of forgiveness. And it is because many of us have been raised in a household where we have been abused, we have been neglected, we have been canceled out, we have been considered to be the black sheep of the family. Many wasn't treated fairly. Many of us have been taken advantage of. So when we bring up this subject about unforgiveness, a lot of us, we get in our shells and we begin to take a step backwards. It is because we begin to remember all of the disadvantages that were played against us in our younger days. But I tell you today that the spirit of unforgiveness have been embedded in our hearts for so long, to where we have become bitter at the world, we have become bitter at our pastors, we have become bitter in our marriages, we have become bitter in our relationships, we have become bitter on our jobs, we become bitter in our churches. It is because this spirit has been taking root and this spirit has been taking residence in our hearts. And the Bible is very clear. It says, forgive not 7 times, but to forgive 70 times 7. But that's over 400 times. But there's an unlimited of traits of unforgiveness. Basically, God is telling us to forgive constantly and forgive quick. You see, because the longer we allow unforgiveness to reside in our hearts and we don't cast it away immediately, it becomes embedded in us. And it begins to take root and begins to damage and dissect our lives. But the God that we serve wants us to live a life of wholeness and fulfillment. But unforgiveness in our hearts have allowed us to hurt those that were never meant to be hurt, and to damage those that we love. And it because of past trauma, past experiences. And many of us are carrying problems and circumstances and experiences from 20 years ago while we were yet a child. And we're carrying it into our future. And thinking that God is going to bless us. In reality, God is saying, until you forgive. It is because unforgiveness holds you from your full potential. And we have questioned it, and we've said, how can I forgive when I haven't wronged anybody but they have wronged me? How can I go to them and say, forgive me, when they're the ones that have done me wrong? What if I told you that forgiveness was never for them, but forgiveness was for yourself? It's because if you don't forgive, it's like maggots internally. It begins to eat away at your spirit, man. It begins to destroy you. Because you refuse to forgive and because you allow it to fester in your heart. And now it is tearing you apart. And you become bitter and you become so angry. And you no longer love the way you used to love. And you begin to treat people so badly. It's because the unforgiveness is trying to define who you are. But what if I told you that's not who you are? You are everything that God had designed for you to be. And that forgiveness does await you. Glory be to God. Unforgiveness is detrimental for your spiritual life. Unforgiveness will hinder what God is trying to do in your life. But forgiveness is necessary for your spiritual growth. It isn't until you forgive that God begins to bless and sometimes give you the very desires of your heart. You know, the Bible says that if you have an ought or a problem, or you have a situation against a brother or a sister, it says before you bring your tithes and offer, you must first go to that individual, and you must reconcile with that brother or that sister before you bring your offering to the table. Many of us, we have problems against people in our own churches, and we refuse to forgive, and we're thinking that God will open the floodgates and begin to bless our life, when God was very clear that we must first forgive our brother. Forgive those who have wrongfully done against you. Forgive those who have persecuted you. Forgive those who have spoke all type of vile words against you. We are to forgive those, not the ones that have done good to us, but the ones that have done bad to us. For the Bible describes it as putting hot coals on their foreheads. When you forgive them knowing that they have done you wrong, when you forgive them understanding that they're talking bad about you, when you forgive them knowing that they've done something against you and your family, but you forgive them anyway. Oh, it just cracks the enemy's skull, because he's trying to figure out, how come you're still forgiving when I wanted you to be bitter? How are you forgiving when I wanted you to be angry? How are you forgiving when I wanted you to go tooth for a tooth and eye for an eye? How are you forgiving? But I love the Lord, and I challenge you today to forgive those who have hurt you, forgive those who have abused you, forgive those who have come against you, to forgive them and to bless their life. I love Jesus Christ, but he was the prime example. Though he had done no wrong, though he knew no sin, as he was being persecuted, the Bible says he cried out and he says to forgive them, for they know not what they do. There are times when we have to forgive those when we have done nothing wrong and they have done all the wrong against us. Those are the ones that God is instructing us today to forgive, because forgiveness goes a long way. It's really not for them, it is for you. It is that you may grow and exceed. It is that you may elevate. It is that you, Lord, it is that you would go to the next level. God bless you. May the Lord peace reign and forever be in your life. May God give you the strength that you need to forgive. Forgive your mother, forgive your father, forgive your aunts and your uncles, forgive your pastor, forgive that ministry, forgive your ex-wife, forgive your ex-husband, forgive those that have abused and neglected you, forgive those who have touched your life with incest, rape, and molestation. Forgive those who may have dropped you as a child. Forgive those who may have neglected you as a child. Forgive those who have come against you in such wrongful ways. Forgiveness. God bless you.